And now, as promised on the Fly Racing RacerX podcast, the man who's kind of setting the industry abuzz a few months ago with the release of the Stark electric motorcycle Varg. I am stoked to have Anton on the line. Anton, thank you for doing this, and congratulations, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
So, yeah, again, great job of keeping this thing quiet. When Ben, the PR guy for you, emailed me about this, and you dropped this a few months ago, I didn't know anything about it. So good job on keeping it quiet. But now it's out, and what has been the response? What have you heard? What have you been doing? What's it been like for you guys? And I know the website crashed for a little bit, which is a good thing, I think. So what's it been like?
I mean, it's been crazy. We had very high expectations, and since we had a few patents pending, we wanted to keep everything confidential till we know that everything was filed and so on. So we have signed a few hundred NDAs, and thankfully enough, everyone actually kept it quiet. So they were very grateful for that, and it was just amazing to see the reaction all over the world when we finally was able to show the bike. So it feels fantastic, and the response has been tremendous.
Sales have been what you expected, or I guess maybe more than what you expected?
Yeah, I mean, the first day we sold 800 bikes, and I think now 6 weeks in we have 5,000 orders or so. So it's just incredible, and we have more than 600 dealer requests. So it's much more than we expected, and I believe that if you look back for the last 6 weeks, this is probably the best-selling motocross bike in the world.
I would think so, right? When you say 5,000 units, I don't know. I mean, the Motorcycle Industry Council releases some numbers, but yeah, that's pretty good for a single unit, for a single motorcycle in the off-road market.
I mean, in 6 weeks at least, so we
exactly.
have more time.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's awesome. It looks really neat. It's got some really cool innovations on it. April 2023 is what the website is saying. Are you looking that's an attainable goal to deliver these motorcycles?
So, I mean, we're moving the delivery date all the time. So as soon as we have a production plan. So as soon as we fill, production batch, we move the date. So this is the current date. So if you order today, that's when you should expect to receive it. And if you wait, a couple of weeks, it's probably going to be a couple of months later.
Yeah. Okay. Has anything surprised you from the pre-orders? There's different horsepowers that you can pick, different colors you could pick. You can set the bike up for yourself. Looking through the orders and seeing what people are wanting and what people are putting their money down for, anything surprising to you?
No, it's just, it's very interesting. Since we had the handbrake option, it was a big discussion internally, how many people are going to choose that. And it's basically 50-50. So there's a lot of people that is interested in, trying to brake with your left hand instead of your right foot. So I think that's actually, for me, that's one of the biggest advantages. I never really learned to use the foot brake properly. So I ride 4-stroke, and I mainly use the engine braking because, for me, it's so difficult through the motocross boots to either lock it or I don't use it. That's basically the on or off.
50-50 though.
It's so much easier.
50-50?
Yeah, 50-50.
Wow.
Yeah, what would you choose?
Oh, I'd choose the foot for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's just how you grow up, right? That's just how it is. I'm surprised. Yeah, that's cool, though. Yeah.
Okay.
What about color?
Cool.
What about color? Red?
Yeah, I mean, red is the biggest color. I think that's about 40%. And then, the forest gray is not so far behind. I believe it's 30% or so. And then white is the least popular option. But I'm also quite surprised about the split, must say.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really interesting. Now, what since you released the bike and since you dropped the news, what has been maybe I guess what do you hear from the other side? We did this at RacerX Online, and I had Eric Pernard in studio, and he was talking about it. And our YouTube comments, I mean, there are just some people that just, they just don't want to hear about electric motorcycle. I'm not one of them, and I think it's the future, and I see great things from this. What do you hear from people who are against this, or what do you hear from people who aren't a believer in the Stark? Do you try to talk to these people? Do you try to convince them? I imagine it's a little bit like everything in the world where it's political, where you just don't like it. You just don't want to listen to reason or all of that stuff. But what do you come up against as far as opposition?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, we're not taking it so serious. I mean, they're quite fun. I mean, some of the comments are quite hilarious. I mean, like, that's gay. Well, okay,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, like what what do you want to say, right?
Or two-stroke for life. Yeah, I mean, okay. So I mean, it's, but I mean, there are some hilarious comments. But we're also listening to it. So I mean, there's, of course. But I believe we've had quite a few people that were a bit skeptic that came to the test track and actually rode a bike, and so far we have able to turn everyone around by trying it. So I think that's really what's going to happen, and I can understand. It's quite different. So if you're so used to thinking about a 2-stroke or 4-stroke motor, and here there's no gears, no clutch, very low noise. Yeah, it's quite different. But everyone so far, even the ones that were like, no, I don't want to do this, and then we kind of like convinced them, like, come on, you should try this. And then someone like a high level rider, and coming back, first lap clearing all the jumps immediately, so you'll be comfortable from the first corner, and coming back with a huge grin on their face. And we had one person who just came back saying that I don't want to ride my 4-stroke anymore.
Well, I mean, I'm a believer in e-bicycles. I ride an e-mountain bike all the time, and I love it. And I was getting grief on the trails 2 years ago for riding an e-bike, and I gotta say, now I don't hear a word from anybody. Like, it's very accepted in the mountain bike community to have e-bikes now, right? They've helped keep shops alive. They've helped keep enthusiasts out there, and all of that. And I think, we talked about this when I saw the invite, when I got the invite from you guys before. Like, you just got to ride one. You just got to get on one and try it. And maybe you don't buy a Stark. Maybe you don't believe in it. But to ride one is to, I think, be amazed and be like, this is really cool. So you got to get people to ride one, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's the next big step. And we're planning to, of course, it's difficult to arrange test rides for everyone that wants to. But we're planning to bring the main medias to Barcelona to try the bike in not too long period of time, so we get some more outside perspective on it, and I think that's important. And if you think about when we start delivering bikes, the first bikes that we deliver will be the demo bikes for the dealers, and I think that's really when the general public will have the possibility to feel it for the first time. And of course, the bikes that the people that order the bike first when we release it, they will also be the first ones to try it out, and I think there's going to be a huge interest when they go to the track. Right,
I would think so. And for dealers, I know you guys were targeting Alta dealers at first, and because they understand it and they've had that base. What's been the reaction? Because you have a button on the website, be a dealer. Click here. Like, what's that been like? Has that been been a big hit?
I mean, so when we launched, we wanted to have a few dealers, but we've been so busy with building the bike that I think we had 2 dealers when we did the launch, so that's not so much, which was basically just a couple of contacts that we knew from before. But so far we have had more than 600 dealer requests, and I think we have now 20-30 dealers that we have signed an agreement with, and now our ambition is to build a very professional, find the best dealers in all over the world, and make sure that we can service the market in the best way, which I really think is, through the best dealers out there. And, a lot of them have already applied. And, if you haven't, and if you're listening to this and you're thinking about it, you're welcome to do it. And we're happy to answer any questions and so on. Right now, I must also say that we do not really have the capacity to respond to all the requests because our sales organization is not really in place. We had the first person starting yesterday.
Nice.
We weren't really anticipating this kind of demand and requests from the market. So far, it's only a few of our senior advisors that have helped out, to just get some of these guys started.
Right. Oh, wow. So look, this bike is it's got an amazing capability. The battery life seems extremely well. It's lightweight, KYB suspension, like all of this stuff. Like this on paper, this bike looks like a hit. But are you telling me that even knowing all of this and even knowing how good it was and having Tortelli on and all, like this has overwhelmed you a little bit? Would you say the response?
you don't do this unless you think it's possible.
Right.
So when we started, we started from nothing, in the living room, and that's I believe that this was possible then, but I think the response is just much greater, much faster than what we expected, and we had an idea of how fast could the market transition to electric, because I think it's clear the future is electric. Like it's performance perspective, it's better, it's easier to ride, it doesn't pollute. And even in Europe they're forbidding gas engines, 12, 10 or 15 years from now. So I think it's clear it's going to happen, but it seems that it's going to happen much faster than what we expected. So it looks like the Stark Varg is the best-selling motocross bike in the world after 6 weeks.
Yeah,
right. that's I didn't expect that. I have to be honest.
Yeah, that's something to be really proud of.
We're super happy.
Yeah,
now the main challenge, scaling production, making sure we can deliver in time.
Right, absolutely right. So that leads me to one of my next questions for you. So I want to dive into a little bit deeper of the genesis of this, but putting the bike together. I imagine the battery technology that you have, that you discovered, that you guys have worked on, was a big thing where, hey, we can do this. We can, because that is where the bikes, whether it's an e-bike or electric motorcycle, battery technology is where it's going to succeed or it's going to fail, right? What have you discovered along the way in building this motorcycle that was maybe tougher than you thought it would be? Or what was something that's come up along the way that you're like, we got to solve this, we got to work through it, that maybe you didn't realize when you were in the living room dreaming up the bike?
Yeah, we did expect that we could use some off-the-shelf components when we started. We really thought, there must be some motor that we could use, and there must be some battery manufacturer who could put together a battery that could perform, to our expectations. But really, we had to build everything from scratch. So we started from, we bought all the best bikes in the market, completely scanned them and analyzed them to understand the geometry, the flexible chassis, the center of gravity, etc., in order to set the benchmark. How can we build a better bike? And based on that, we also combine it with the powertrain. How can we build that kind of chassis with an electric motor and a battery, so that it's still a seriously light bike, a very lightweight bike that is easier to turn around than anything else. So that's also, of course, one of the tasks we had to achieve. And in the end, we always ended up, for every single component, that we had to develop it from scratch. So if you look at the bike today, I think the only thing that's off the shelf is obviously the tires. The brakes are Brembo and Galfer. They know how to do it. And grips, and the throttle, I think, is also off the shelf.
Okay.
But everything else, we had to develop from scratch. Of course, suspension is Kayaba, so they helped us out with that. Yeah.
But you still got to make it fit you still got to make it fit your pattern, your frame, and everything else. So for sure. Our exact geometry, the length and the fitments, and our linkage, etc. That's the most difficult component was the battery, I think. Well, the most sophisticated one is the inverter, but the battery for us was the most time consuming. Right. The battery is the real star of this bike, isn't it? Like when I look at the weight, because that's what these things are, they're heavy. You look at e-bikes in general, and you look at the power that you're going to put out, and you look at the length of time you can ride the motorcycle. The battery seems to be the superstar of this bike, whatever you've discovered on the battery, right?
Yeah, I really think so. We believe it's the most energy-dense battery system in the world, the way that we have integrated the cells directly into the magnesium case, which also creates a direct heat path for every cell, which is... So, it's easy to stare yourself blind at kilowatts, but, what really comes into play is efficiency. So, if you look at a gas bike, it has, a motocross bike maybe has 15% efficiency, whilst an electric vehicle has... can have 95% plus efficiency, which is a tremendous difference, of course. But, I believe the cells that we're using, the way they're constructed, the battery and everything, we have achieved incredibly high efficiency, which is one of the reasons that the range is really good.
Yep. So yeah, making it efficient and getting rid of the heat is what. Yeah,
exactly. Not generating heat and getting rid of the heat that's created. Yeah.
Right. Sure. So racing, I cover racing for a living, supercross and motocross, and I'm sure this has been a big question for you. Now, the Alta definitely faced some obstacles along the way. They did the Red Bull straight rhythm. They were allowed in certain races, but and truthfully, I work for Racer X. I thought MX Sports should have been more. Even full disclosure, I work for Racer X as a part-time guy. I thought MX Sports should have allowed the Alta to compete at Loretta's and these things, and then adjusted the classes as it goes. You know what I mean? Like see how they do, let them race. But there was some stonewalling of the Alta, and I'm sure you're facing this when you talk to Infront or the AMA or whoever you've had early discussions with. How do we get the Stark into racing at the highest level? How are we going to do that, Anton? What's the plan?
Yes, I mean, first of all, it is the plan. So we want to compete in the MXGP and the AMA Supercross.
Mm-hmm.
This is important for us, to prove our capabilities. So that is really the focus. How do we make it happen? We're talking to FIM. They seem very open to let us race. The French Federation has already changed the rules to allow electric bikes, actually. So it's happening in Europe. It's happening in Italy, Sweden, Belgium as well. In the US, we're talking to AMA and Feld. So, we want to see it happening as soon as possible, and I think a good start could be to have a wild card, do the race, see what happens.
Yeah.
No points,
right?
I think people would really appreciate that, because what could be more exciting than seeing the first time a gas bikes and an electric bike is lining up with the best riders in the world at the same gate to see what happens.
Yeah,
it's gonna be great. No matter what happens, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
so I think that's a good way to do it.
Well, like the Alta, the powers that be were worried about the Alta having advantages over the 254 strokes, and maybe they would have. Maybe it would have turned into an unfair advantage. But could we at least see? We never got the chance to see how that would go. And I was always like, wait. Like, they allowed the 400 four-strokes in, right? And those things were much better. They were pulling all the starts, and we kind of... Yeah. We were like, oh, the cat is out of the barn, or the chicken is, whatever the saying is, Anton. I don't know what they say in Sweden or Spain. But so I get it. Like, hey, we don't know where the Stark's going to fit, but can we try? Can we see where we're at? Right?
I agree. I mean, that would be fun, first of all, and that's the best way to know. And then we can adapt. If we need to have a horsepower limit, that's fine. Let's have the same limit. If a factory bike has 75 horsepower or 80 or whatever it has, we can have the same. That's fine.
Right.
That's fair. And I agree. Let's try it. And for us, we're happy to start riding in the open class. And I think I'm not sure the 450s really need more power. I'm not sure that's
right.
So even if we have more power, I'm not certain you can really use it.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit in the start.
Yeah, that's where maybe Alta was in the wrong spot, because they were saying it's 254 stroke. So that's a CC limited class. Like you said, 450s, no one is adding more power. They're just trying to make them more rideable, right? So, you have a point there. So in your discussions with everybody, does it... from what you're saying, you're not getting stonewalled? You're not getting told no? Are you seeing some open minds here?
It's different. Some open minds, and some a bit close. I think some of the manufacturers might be trying to stop this.
Yep.
But I think in the end, the public is the one that makes the decision. So if people want to see Stark racing, it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because in the end, that's what the racing is for.
Right. Yeah, I think I agree with you, right? Like that's what people want to see, and you don't want to do Stark versus Stark races. That's not the idea here.
I mean, that feels a little bit boring. I mean, we have this tremendous opportunity now to see, what happens putting old technology versus new.
Yeah.
And why not do it?
It looks like Honda may have something brewing too on the electric side, right? I saw a little thing. They've had it for a few years, so maybe that's the ticket.
The same.
Yeah. Oh.
I think just analyzing that bike from pictures, I think it's not probably not going to be able to compete with any of the gas bikes.
Okay.
It looks like it's, maybe I would guess here maybe 25 horsepower and quite low battery capacity, just from what you can see in the pictures, basically.
Yep.
I think they're going to race in this electric championship. It's a global one. They call the Explorer, but it's more versus smaller and electric bikes, which I think can be fun. I think it's going to be great racing, but it's just we have our eyes set on competing with the gas bikes.
Right. Getting back to the orders too, is it 60 horsepower or 80 horsepower? What are you seeing people want? I mean, I'm ordering the 80 if it's me, because I can tune this thing, right? So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, 80% are choosing 80 horsepower.
Yeah. I'll just run the phone on it and everything else. Someone was telling me that this bike is going to be completely waterproof. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so you can just no problem, no issues. Wow. Think about that.
Yeah, you can ride underwater. You can probably go too deep. So,
right.
You can,
but yeah.
You probably put your bike underwater sometime.
Yes, absolutely. But I don't know how long I can go, or how far I can go.
It's quite common. Like if you're out trail riding or new riding, like sometimes you just drop the bike in the river and.
Right.
Then you're stuck there for 30 minutes. But here you're good.
Right. So the plan is to go racing at some point. I love it. I hope we see that. I think, we have Beta, we have Triumph coming in. I think the more options and more manufacturers coming in, the better for everybody, for riders and for the sport.
Well, I think it's going to happen this year. Let's see. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Cool. So you're based in Spain. You're Swedish. You're based in Spain. The bike will be built in Spain. And my buddy Sebastian Tortelli, who we had on the show shortly after the launch, lives in Spain as well. Was it that simple? Like, hey, Seb is in Spain. We're in Spain. Let's call Seb and do it. Or like, how did that come together? And how is it working with Sebastian, who I have the utmost respect for as a human, as a rider and a racer? I absolutely love the guy. He's an all-time champion to me.
Yeah, he's a two-time world champion. That says a lot. So, if we look at how we want to build a team, we're always trying to find the best people within each area. If that's engineering, design, test riding, production, quality, communication, we're always looking for the best people. And I was looking around in my network, and I was recommended by two different people to talk to Seb, and I did. And I think immediately, he's a great guy. He's very straightforward, and he knows obviously how to ride a motocross bike, but he also has the experience of developing bikes since before. He was part of developing the first Honda 4-stroke, the first Suzuki 4-stroke, and he's just been so helpful in building this bike. So I'm really grateful to have him on the team. And he's not only a great rider, he's a great guy too.
Yeah, and the way he rides, if it's going to break, he'll find it. Like the way he rides, he's kind of an animal that way. So,
Yeah, someone told me he used to bend the handlebars without crashing.
Yes.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, he used to. That was me. His mechanic was a good friend of mine, and the bars would be bent down after a race, and you're just like, what? So that'll work. Anton, you started with 24MX, which is maybe are you still owning that, or did you sell that?
No, I have sold all my shares. Yeah. I'm not involved in a company anymore.
So you started 24MX, which is basically, the leading European online retailer. Is this, when you're at 24MX, is this when you have the thoughts of an e-motorcycle, or does something happen at 24MX that puts the light bulb in your head that I want to do this? Where are you in life? What are you doing when you get the idea of, I think we can do this. Electric is where I want to go.
So, I've always been very interested in technology. So I started rebuilding motors and stuff when I was 12 years old, just, tearing them down and putting them together and so on in the garage. And actually, my first degree is as a motorcycle mechanic. So I've always, had a strong interest for the technical side of it. And I've been thinking about building electric bikes for as many years as I can remember, because it feels so obvious. But why did I? Yeah, it started. I think I started getting a bit bored with 24MX.
Okay,
because we were just doing the same thing over and over again. We started three guys basically in a garage, and or the garage, but something like that. And we built it to I think it's the world's largest online motocross store, even though it's mainly active in Europe. But when you're just scaling, doing the same thing over and over again, okay, one more market, adding one more brand, it just didn't feel so exciting anymore. And I've been focused my whole life on just trying to sell as much stuff as possible. So I felt I wanted to do something with sustainability as well. And then I was, able to, combine that with my passion for motorcycles, technology, and sustainability. And, now trying to transform this industry to sustainable technology by developing products that are better than those that exist today, or at least that's our ambition.
Right.
And what we believe we're doing.
So, okay. So were you a motocross guy growing up? Were you racing? Is that your background in motocross racing, or were you riding more enduros and off-road stuff? Not racing. I've been riding motocross on pit bikes since I was a kid. Okay.
And, but just for fun. So I think I've done maybe one race or so, something like that.
Yeah.
So, I know how to ride, but I'm not super fast. I enjoy it a lot.
Right.
I try to ride once a week, which normally is not possible, but try to go out as often as possible. And I've just always been doing it since I was, 10 or 12 or something like that.
Right. Hey, motorsport.com, man. Go there if you need OEM and aftermarket parts. Free shipping on everything over $79. They got a dedicated team of gearheads there to help you out. They have great pricing. They have great shipping. They can handle everything, man, for you. So please go through the banner on pulpmx.com or pulpmxshow.com, and we get a little bit of that. That helps us out. There's a whole partnership for PulpMX Show. Go to the tab on the bottom. You can see it. So we'll try to do our best to promote motorsport.com, and they will do their best to service you with great prices and great products. Thank you to those guys. Koba links as well. It's a lowering suspension link from everything from Aprilia to Yamaha. If you are shorter in stature, your wife, your girlfriend, they don't quite have the same confidence on a motorcycle because they can't touch the ground, Koba links will make you a lowering suspension link and do it with style as well. So they can do that for your models. Any kind of thing, any bike you want. PulpMX code is a code to save with Koba links and free shipping as well. Built in Boise, Idaho, and use the link to save some money, all right, with Koba links. Thank you to Renthal and Matthes, and of course the folks at Fly Racing as well. Let's get back to Anton Wass and Stark Motorcycles. Well, congrats on the success of 24MX. Yeah, building that up. They're huge. It was a big company. And I guess that so you and I've known a few people like yourself that grew a company into something massive, sold it, and some of those people you kind of go off the track a little bit. You get a lot of money, and you don't have your day-to-day focus and day-to-day concentration on it. Were you right from selling it right into Stark, into that idea, or did you sit back a few years and go, what am I going to do with my life? Like, you're young, you still got lots to go on. Like, how did that transition go?
I have so much energy. I need to keep myself occupied. I actually, when I had decided to leave and I had a date, okay, this is my last date.
Yeah.
I was really, really worried, what's going to happen. I don't have anything to do.
Yeah.
So I never had any time off, thankfully. Maybe I would go crazy in week one. So, no, I like working, and I think I will continue doing that for many years. Yeah,
because you got to do something, right? You got to do something.
Yeah, I don't think it's good for you to just, relax.
Right.
It's good to relax, but not too much.
Yeah, not too much. How do you find, so you have your lead engineers and your lead technicians that help you develop this bike. I believe one was from KTM, another one was from maybe Beta, I believe.
It's from a bunch of different companies, mainly the European ones.
Right. How do you find these guys? Well, are they friends of yours? Do you sort of like something they did? Do they submit a resume? Like, how do you find your core group of guys, including Ben over there? He's great at the PR end of things. He's a great, very nice guy. How do you find your core group of people? Is this something, do you know all these gentlemen from before and dealing in 24MX and being around, or are you seeking these guys out because you hear about them for different ways? I'm just interested in sort of your circle of advisors here.
Yeah, it's basically both ways, as you explained it there, but when I decided to start the company, I wanted to do it together with someone else. So I wanted to have a partner, and I wanted to find a CTO for the company. So I started asking around. I think I met 5 people or so, and eventually I was fortunate enough to meet Paul Saucy, who is my co-founder and the CTO of the business, who previously worked with KTM, and he had similar dreams, and we decided to do it. And I mean, the rest of the team is through various contacts of me and Paul, and people that we know, just asking around and being recommended to. Actually, our CEO, who has previously been a production and quality manager for several companies within the motorcycle industry, was through one of our manufacturers who recommended him, actually. So it's through many different ways. I mean, now that we are live and people know about us, we have a steady stream of people applying and wanting to work with us. So now it's both ways.
I'm excited to see this bike when it hits the shores and gets people to ride it. What do you, from yourself riding it, and Seb and the other people that has been fortunate enough to ride this, what do you hear from them? What's the number one thing you hear from them? Like, I have a podcast show on a Monday night, and if people come in, it's a 4-hour, 5-hour show, and every time someone new comes in, they take the headset off and they say, man, time goes by so quick when you're doing the show. I'm not telling you, I'm not kidding you, Anton, I hear that all the time. What do you hear all the time from people after they get off a Stark Varg? What do you hear?
I mean, I think the first thing that people are surprised about is how easy you adapt to it. So people expect it to be more different, and then they figure out that when they jump it, it feels completely natural in the air, and it feels natural from the first corner. And actually, we've had a lot of comments from people that when they jump on the bike coming from a 4-stroke, for instance, it's one corner and you're used to it immediately. It feels good. And but then when you're jumping back, and actually Seb said this to me the other day, that it takes a while to get used again to the gas. And for me, it's the same as well. So both, let's say, the pro level and an amateur, once you stop using the gears, you have a quite limited power band and the clutch. And when you try to get back to that, it's really difficult. So it's easy to jump to electric, but it's pretty difficult to jump back.
To go back,
Yeah. And then, I mean, people are surprised about the power. It's very powerful. How lightweight it feels is often a comment as well. And I think those are the most common ones. Basically.
I probably have 5 hours on an Alta in my life. So I've ridden it. I don't know if 5 hours is good or bad or whatever. And I ride a Yamaha YZ450 myself. I think the Alta was amazing. I was blown away by it. I thought it was a really, really cool idea. It was fun to ride. It was fun to ride. And so I think the e-bike thing, the electric motorcycle, is going to be great. I think it's awesome for people to try.
What did you appreciate most with Alta?
I like the fact that, it's heavy. It was heavy, right, the Alta? But it didn't feel heavy. So if your bike is lighter than a 4-stroke, I think the weight might be the number one thing that I can't wait to try and see how that goes. The power, honestly, it hit harder than I thought. I wasn't used to how immediate the power was. And then, of course, the noise. That was maybe the funnest part, was just not having any noise, just some chain slap. And that was it, I thought it was just a really fun bike to ride. I had a smile on my face the whole time. So I imagine, the Stark's going to be the same way.
Let's see. Let's make sure you get to try it soon.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't want to pin you down on this, but when are bikes hitting U.S. shores for the media to ride, or the people who put their orders in early can get? Again, if I don't want to pin you down on it, maybe you don't know exactly, but what are we looking at?
So we will arrange some test days for media in Barcelona. So we will invite the main medias in US and around the world to come here and try it. That should probably happen maybe end of April or something like that. That's not a promise. That's for Ben to confirm, of course.
It'll all be Ben's fault if it doesn't come together.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Right. Okay, and then bikes in US. Not too long after that, we'll have the first bikes available for some people to try, and the first deliveries. Our plans happen from September. Yeah, wow, exciting. Do you have already version 2.0 in your head? Do you have different models in your head of where you want to go with this? I imagine you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Right.
So I mean, in terms of, we think there's a lot of things that can be improved in a motocross bike, and if you look at a lot of the technology, it has been the same for so many years.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there will be massive improvements in things like just materials that you're using in different places, suspension, brakes, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we are also entering other categories. So we are developing street bikes. We're also developing more off-road bikes. So there's a lot to come.
Yeah, interesting, exciting. I think it's going to be. I want to see the race. I want to see you guys get into racing. As I said, I think that's something that is the next step for fans to embrace and get on board with that. All the political end of things, though, Anton, that'll be interesting, and that's something that you're going to have to deal with. But I hope we see it, man. I really do.
Yeah, but I mean, I think if they don't open the doors for this, someone else is going to do it. So if you are,
mm-hmm.
The leader in arranging races today, do you really want to risk not being the leader in the future? Because you have thousands of people, ordering this bike. So you're going to have thousands of riders that will want to compete on the amateur level. There will be competition on the highest level as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you are arranging the AMA Supercross right now, do you really want to have the risk of that there's a different championship created that could outcompete you in 5 years?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Better to embrace new technology, see what happens, put the right boundaries so that the gas and electric can compete against each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And let's give it a try and embrace the technology and embrace the idea, and we'll adjust as it goes. Why not, right? I mean, certainly you do want to be open-minded for sure. So, Anton Wass, Fly Racing Racer X podcast. Thank you for doing this. Appreciate it. Congratulations on the success. I'm super excited to see this thing. I cannot wait, and I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be the next generation of motorcycles, and it sounds like by the pre-orders, a lot of people agree.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. I really appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time. It's good to talk to you.
No problem. Thanks very much. Good luck with everything. I know I'll be in touch with Ben down the road. Thank you very much.
Take care. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Before we get too far into this podcast, I want to thank the folks at Racetech. Pulp 22 is the code to save with Racetech. They can help you out. Get your motor work done. Get suspension work done. They made their name in suspension. It's like 40 years they've been doing suspension work. Motor work just about as long. Pulp 22 is the code to save. Show your bike some love, and it'll love you back. Thank you to Racetech. Also, people, don't forget, man, if you love podcasts and you love listening to some of the old-timers and you wonder if I've done more, you can go back into the archives and search it out. There's Steve Matthes Archives, Steve Matthes Classics, Volume 1, 2, and 3. So search Steve Matthes on your favorite podcast provider, and that'll be an easy way to find out. I've done so many interviews. The catalog was getting too large for all of Apple. So, please check it out. Search a name. If there's some rider that you want to hear from, just search his name. Also, it should come up with that way as well. So just want to promote the other podcast feeds that I have. I have Steve Matthes Classics, Volume 1, 2, and 3 on iTunes as well. So please go back and listen to those. Those stories don't change. Those interviews don't change. Welcome, everybody, to the Fly Racing Racer X podcast with Anton Wass. He is the owner of Stark Motorcycles, and looking forward to talking to him about the launch and how things are going and what's been the news and the buzz since the Stark Varg, I should say, Stark Varg, dropped on all of us, man. Looks great. Really, really lots to talk about when it comes to this. Thank you to Fly Racing. Again, go to motorsport.com. Check out Fly Racing and the latest and greatest things that they've got going on with Justin Brayton and McElrath and Savacci and Anstey and more wearing Fly Racing stuff out there. Of course, Zach Osborne, retired but still racing in the Fly Racing stuff. The Formula helmet is amazing. They've got a Formula CP helmet this year as well. Same great safety features, a little different shell for a little bit different price. Thank you to Fly Racing for all that they do. They've got a style, they've got a design that suits you. So check out flyracing.com, please, and thank you. Thank you as well to Renthal, Factory Honda, Monster Energy Kawasaki, Red Bull KTM, et cetera, using Renthal for all these years. Sprockets, chains, great chains those guys have. Sprockets, bars, 7/8 bars, oversized bar, crossbarless bar. Fat Bar 36, they're super proud of as well. Renthal.com for more information on there, and they've got a really cool bar chart on there. So that works out really good. Thank you to Matthes Tires as well. SGB Matthes team with Cade and A-Ray. And, dude, they've got some good 250 guys, and they're all going to be running Matthes Tires, developed by Jeremy McGrath. The MXSTs are out, and please check them out. If you haven't thought about Matthes for a while for a performance tire for your motorcycle, well, give them a checkout. I don't know if that makes sense, but give them a look. Great mountain bike tires, too, over there at Matthes.com. Also, thanks to Cobolinks. Thank you to motorsport.com. We'll tell you more about them later, but they're on board as well. So thank you to the partners for this podcast. Thank you, people, for listening. Let's get into Anton Wass from Stark Motorcycles.